Hello, and welcome to Fast Politics on YouTube. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by New York Governor Kathy Hochul to talk about how she, as governor, can protect New York citizens from Trump's aggressions. Thank you so much for coming on. So, first, we have to have a minute to talk about how great congestion pricing is, because it's great.
You're a fan, right? Okay, that's good.
Isn't everyone who has to live in New York City a
I
fan?
I don't know why not everybody is, but we have a very high percentage of people. More people now prefer to have it than not, depending on which poll you look at. But here's the deal: congestion is down, but people are still coming. People were afraid that people would not come into the city, that this
Right.
would paralyze New York, and Broadway shows would be heard, and the shops and the restaurants were all going to die. This was the gloom and doom scenario. And what we realize is people are coming to the city, but guess what? They're taking public transit, which was the
Right.
whole objective. So ridership is up 10%. People walking the streets. I mean, you see this. I walk the streets of New York. I live
Yeah.
here 3, 4 days a week. It's mobbed. There's this energy and vitality back, but the streets are moving again. Accidents are down. Pedestrian accidents are down. School buses are arriving on time. And even the people from New Jersey who really flipped out over this and didn't want it to happen, their commutes are dramatically faster. So it has really achieved a high quality of life, but also is going to generate revenues for the MTA so I can invest more money into keeping the system strong and actually expanding it.
Listen, I'm a huge fan. So, but now here's a question, and everyone I know who lives in New York City is just thinks it's a game changer. It's 10 minutes off anywhere you need to go. It's amazing. Now, here's the question. So, of course, because it is so great, Donald Trump is furious about it. Uh, Explain to us sort of, were you shocked? I mean, I was also a little bit shocked. Like, why does he care, and why is he so obsessed with that?
Well, he spent a lot of time in New York City last summer. Why? Well, he had 34 convictions, right? Remember,
Yeah,
he
he
spent
was
a lot of time
busy.
in court. So he was around, he was hearing like the Republicans from the Hudson Valley and from Long Island who were just making this a political issue. And he started drinking the Kool-Aid of them saying, oh, this is horrible. And I told him, and I talked to him about it right after the election. I've spent many times on the phone with him. I went and met him in his office last Friday night, a week ago, and said, it's working. I mean, in fact, I made a really nice brochure. I mean, you wouldn't believe the colors, the words are big, make New York City great and fast and beautiful, really to appeal to him directly.
Right.
And I think he feels like he made a commitment before the election. Now he's got these Republicans that are still in his ear, trying to make them happy. But I said, you're a New Yorker. Traffic is moving faster in front of Trump Tower. Your
Right.
employees are getting to work faster. Your other CEOs of big companies are really happy about this. So I don't know if we're going to be able to change that, but I feel really confident that we'll beat him in court. So that's where it's
Right.
going to happen when they tell us to stop it. Because I don't know if you remember what he did. He announced, I just killed congestion pricing. Long live the king. Like that was his
Right.
tweet. Long live the king. And so I
Yeah.
went ballistic. I went into the subway and I said, we've not had a king in 250 years. We're not
Yeah.
about to start now. And so I went at it, took it to the mat, and here we are. We'll just see what happens. But I don't know why, if he was looking at New York City as someone who knows it so well, he would see the incredible benefits for just quality of life and moving traffic and air quality. It's been extraordinary.
Yeah. No, I think it's been a huge game changer. But I'm curious, like, so we see different relationships, different governors have different relationships with Trump, right? We've seen people have combative relationships. We've seen, he was very mad at the governor of Maine. You have an interesting position because he does really have a relationship with the city and the state. So, how have you been able to sort of have that relationship? And also, can you protect New Yorkers from some of his really, his enormous overstep?
Well, that remains to be seen. And here's how I approached it. Right after election, I said, I don't need to be out there fighting everything that happens. And even after inauguration day, I said, if you want to work with me on major infrastructure, invest in redoing Penn Station, which is a hellhole. Penn Station
Right.
should look much better. A subway system up to Harlem, the Interborough Express where people from Brooklyn and Queens can get to places easy. You want to work with me on infrastructure? I'm all there. But if you attack our values or come after us in any way, then you've got to you're picking a fight with me. And I don't mind a fight at all. I grew up in a very tough neighborhood in Buffalo and got a lot of brothers. So I say bring it on. And I would say we're in that position right now. We've had a lot of pretty high profile fights, and I'll do it. So I'm not looking to hit him on every single thing because we'll lose our credibility. And that's what
Right.
Democrats be careful about. I mean, I'm not going to hit him on Ukraine this week. I don't have to hit him on certain things, but
Right.
there's enough material now that I don't have to wait very long.
Yeah.
Coming after Medicaid, you're hurting my people. You're hurting my
Yeah.
seniors. You're hurting people in nursing homes and dismantling the Department of Education. So you don't care about kids with disabilities. You don't care about kids having a Pell Grant and having a chance to better themselves. So now they actually are, with their budget priorities from the Republicans, but also what Trump has done. The fights are right before us now, and I can't avoid them any longer.
When you say that to him, what is he like? Because he's weirdly not combative in person, right? He doesn't seem like you have captured his ire. And I'm wondering, do you feel one on one? I know that one on one, he's actually known to be very charismatic. So, I mean, relatively,
Not someone I want to beer with. I mean, or so
but
any.
I mean, he did get elected twice. So,
Yes, that's right.
do you get a pushback right away when you talk to him about stuff like this? Or does he just sort of,
It's
take what he likes?
it's not an angry yell at me in the Oval Office
Right.
situation when we were
That was the
together.
question. Yeah.
No, no, but because I know how to appeal to people as well. Like, hey, Mr.
Yeah.
President, you're the first New Yorker since FDR to sit in this office. And
Right.
then that went on a tangent about who's got the bigger FDR desk, because I have a big FDR desk, because he was governor before he was
Right.
president. So we get into a conversation, we talk about the artwork on the walls and the paintings and picture, presidents and all. So there are just quasi normal conversations,
Right.
but then I'm sitting next to Christy Nome in his office. He brought in different people.
Right.
She says, we're coming after the illegal aliens in the Roosevelt Hotel, and with such disdain. I mean, like as if
Right.
they're not even human beings. So I was so offended. I'm coming after those criminals. And I said, excuse me, the Roosevelt Hotel is where people go to register when they come across the border. I'm pretty certain that the Venezuelan gang members and the people on the terrorism watch list and the gun runners, they're not going and giving their name to us at the Roosevelt Hotel. So I
Right.
think we're good. You can leave the moms and families alone. I'll help you with the violent criminals. You have a warrant, I'll let you do
Right.
what you need to do. But don't just come here. So these are the conversations, larger answer to your questions. Like, and now Tom Honan just picked a fight with me today. He was all over the news and beating up the governor of New York. Okay, doesn't scare me. We're taking
Yeah.
on each fight as it comes, Molly. Taking on each fight.
Yeah. No, and I think that's really important. But now we have this man, Mohammed Khalil, who is now in a jail in Louisiana, unable to talk to his lawyers. That seems to me, I mean, and I'm Jewish, and that seems to me like I don't even understand how because he's not being charged with anything.
No, there's a court appearance today, so we'll know a
Right.
lot more in a court, which is the right place for it to be. I mean, a judge stopped the deportation just to find out, well, what evidence do you have that he did something that would justify the removal of someone with a green card? I mean, a green card is
Yeah.
just status below a citizen. I mean,
Yeah.
he's married to an American. So we need to find out what evidence they have, because
Right.
I will, first of all, condemn anti-Semitism, and many of these protests
Right.
got out of control, and Jewish students felt uncomfortable and harassed, and there was violence, and there was vandalism. So was there a
Yeah.
role in any of that with the criminal activity, or was it related to just protests, which will always protect protesting,
Right.
even if we don't agree with the words that come out of their mouths? But does what happened? What was his involvement? They seem to be alleging that there was something more, and I said, well, do you have proof that he's providing material support to a terrorist organization,
Right.
or was he at a protest? So
Right.
this is evolving, and I don't know how to characterize it yet, not having all the facts.
But yeah, listen, and I'm certainly open to that, and I completely understand that is. But he is in Louisiana right now,
I know,
right? So
I know. I don't understand Louisiana. I mean,
yeah,
that's torture by itself. I mean, that's a very. I'll
but
tell
I
you,
mean,
I'm at
right?
war with the governor of Louisiana right now
Mhm,
because they're
yes,
trying to extradite one of my abortion providers because all she did was give a prescription for medication abortion over the phone. And now they want me to extradite her to Louisiana to stand charges for 15 years. So it's not my favorite state right
But
now.
right.
So
Oh, but
I
I'm
don't,
glad you're not doing that. You're not allowing that. That's really good.
hell no,
And
never.
yeah. So that's really good. And that is so just explain to me, like, did the federal government come in and take this? Like, how did this I mean, it happened
I
sort
think
of in the go
what
on.
all I know is what I've seen in public source documents, which was the knock on the door, asked to see the papers, or the wife went up and got the papers, showed it, and they still just took him. And so that is a frightening specter if they don't have
Yeah.
proof that something done was more was done than protesting. Again, I can condemn abhorrent speech,
Right.
and many of those protests grew into incredibly hostile situations for those students. And I will always
Right.
read that. And the universities have to protect the students, by the way.
Yeah.
They have that
Yeah.
obligation. But so I think, Molly, we just don't know. Like what they may show in a court today may be
Right.
wildly different than we know, or it may be
Right.
like this was a really big overreach.
But
And
it
I,
if it was a really big overreach, no, I agree, and I think that's certainly a reasonable attitude to have. But if this was a really big overreach, because Donald Trump has said it's the first of many to come, like, does that
yeah,
mean? I mean, can you protect people? Like, I am the granddaughter of a communist writer who was jailed during the House on Un-American Activity. So for me,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is real. So
No.
so the question is, like, what can you do if this starts to become commonplace?
That's a good question because we don't control ICE. I mean, that's separate from our
Right,
state police. I mean, I don't have my police engaged in this at all. The state police are not involved in this. I mean,
right,
they don't get involved unless you have a warrant for someone's arrest. Then we'll assist. And we did this under Biden's administration too. I mean, you
right,
have awareness that someone who's here undocumented, it's not the crime of crossing the border. It is, which is a civil offense. It is if you've
right,
done something here, if you've assaulted police officers in Times Square, like that happened, and say, you're out of here. We don't
right.
want you. And we always cooperate. And that hasn't changed under this administration. So the specter that you're describing, though, of the possibility of just random door knocks and we're scooping people up and taking them out. I heard a Holocaust survivor the other day talk about
Right.
that this brings back the memories of what happened there. And that
Yeah,
is a very, very frightening place to go. So I need to figure out, the role of the city and the state and localities in this scenario, but it is federal government and ICE. So
yeah,
absolutely uncharted territory in our country. Absolutely. We
yeah. I
have
mean,
to
as
do
a Jew myself, I mean, it's just horrifying. It's just shocking. Yeah. So my other question is, we have this mayoral situation where we are. I don't even know what's happening there, but I would love you to just sort of talk to us about threading the needle. There's an election. There's a primary election in June. Sort of how you're doing this and trying to keep Adams from, it clearly there's some kind of quid pro quo thing going on with him and Trump. Not a great situation. So sort of talk me through where you are with
yeah.
this.
Well, when indictments first came down last fall, I knew my number one job was to stabilize the city. And normally a governor doesn't get involved in the operations of a city, but
Right.
we had to work with the mayor to help clean house because a lot of people around him were under investigation, and there are a lot of problems. So we did achieve that. We worked to put in good people that were respected. We just calmed everything down, which is, I think, something that's is a strength of a woman. I've raised teenagers. I'm used to chaos and wild, households. So it's a strength that I bring to this. I'm used to crisis management,
Yeah.
and we did. We got to a very good place. Then the whole hone in thing, and the interview on television where there was issues raised. This,
That was did you
yeah,
watch that? By the way, did you watch that on Fox?
I don't normally watch Fox. I saw the replays of it, uh,
Yeah.
but I did see that. And
Yeah. All right. Sorry,
um,
go on.
so yeah,
Not what we're used to.
no, not what we're used to. But in terms of what's happening now, yes, the governor has the power to remove the mayor when they've lost confidence. It's a very low standard.
Right.
I feel that and a lot of people are pushing me to remove Mayor Adams, but that feels very Trumpian to me. I
Right.
mean, I don't overturn elections.
Right.
They do that. They
Yeah.
challenge the validity of elections. I don't do that. I'm a Democrat. We
Yeah.
support the voice of the people, and if they want to do something different, if they're voting in the primary in June, go at it. do what you want. And I will support whomever they decide they want to be the next mayor. And it may be Eric Adams, it may be another candidate. I don't know who they're going to want. Um, that's where it is right now, just trying to calm it down. I'm still trying to put in some what I call my guardrails, right?
Yeah,
Not
which I
remove, but
think, by the
yeah.
way, I was really impressed by this. So, can you talk us through exactly what you did here?
Sure, sure. I looked at 3 areas. One is investigatory. I wanted to find out if there's any areas where the inspector general needs to have more powers. If people in the administration became aware of something that was, fishy, didn't seem right,
Yeah,
that you normally would not be doing, but for this perception with the Trump administration, I wanted to have more powers there. I wanted to have more line of sight into the budget to make sure
right.
decisions are not being made that are inappropriate there. And also litigation. For example, right when this was happening, the Trump administration withheld $80 million of money from the city that was there for migrant services. They just like
Yeah,
took it away. So
yeah,
if there was not litigation to sue to get it back, it makes you wonder, like, oh, I wonder why, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
I propose these. The problem is, I think they make sense. They kind of put the focus and it gives some line of sight and some accountability, but it has to go to the city council first.
right.
So then it goes to the
Yeah,
state legislature. So city
yeah,
council, if you're worried, pass these. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're saying, well, everything's fine with us because I
yeah,
can't force them to do this. So that's where it is right now. But I'm doing my best. I mean, I'm more
yeah.
involved
No,
than a governor ever has been in the city. And I
yeah,
also represent these 8.3 million people, yourself included. Proud to do that. But I'm involved in making the subway safer. Normally, a
yeah,
city job. I mean, I'm paying for overtime for police on the subways because subway crime is now much better. So we're doing what we
yeah.
can.
I think that's a really fulsome response to the problem and makes a lot more sense than removing the mayor, which opens the door to a lot of unforeseen
No kidding.
problems.
Yeah.
Um, I'm wondering the 80 million though, that seems shocking to me. They just took the $80 million back.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah. Money that
Is
was
that,
it was approved by the Biden administration.
yeah,
Now, it wasn't a lot of money. The state helped out with $4.3 billion
right,
to
right.
assist with the influx of 240,000 people over a 2-year period. So we were very helpful, but it was still money. And so
Yeah,
the city, just so you know, the city is taking the steps to sue to get it back. I mean, so the right thing is happening in that space. And again, I feel like so much of what we're doing is having to rely on judges. I mean, we've had to file lawsuits over countless. I mean, this is like a growth industry for lawyers because
right,
whatever the Trump administration does, our first response is like, okay, we'll see you in court.
right.
But there have to be other ways that we can fight back as Democratic governors, and that's what I've been really focused on. And I think the answer is, Molly. I watched a lot of commentators about what Democrats need to be doing. Democratic governors are the model
Right.
because we're able to show the contrast between what the Trump administration is doing and we're doing. For example, something like tariffs. Tariffs are going to increase costs for everyday families by about $3,000. But here in New York, we just got slammed with the thought of another 25% increase in utility from Ontario because they're pissed off about what's happening with
Yeah,
Canada tariffs. So
yeah,
we're the collateral damage in this. And I don't mean just we, I mean the people of the state of New York. And these are
yeah.
the people in areas like the North Country of New York, the northern part. They all voted for him. These were
I
Trump
know.
voters, and they're the ones getting slammed the most with tariffs. So I digress on that, but they're
The-
focusing on increasing costs and maybe spiraling us into a recession.
Yeah,
Democratic governors like me, I'm trying to put money back in people's pockets. A
yeah,
middle class rate cuts, the largest in 70 years, and money back in people's pockets, and building more housing to increase supply to deal with one of our greatest expenses. So we have policy solutions, but we have to be smart about is being real simple about it.
yeah,
No more policy dissertations. I come from a common sense, just down to earth place. My parents used to live in a trailer park, so I understand just how to connect with regular people. I got elected to Congress in the most Republican district, upstate New
yeah,
York, because I fought against the Paul Ryan budget and what they tried to do to Medicare. So I know the answer. We just take it to the streets with. See, I'm going to a senior center in the city tomorrow. Why
yeah.
am I going there? I want them to know that their Social Security has been called a Ponzi scheme by Elon Musk and that they just attacked the entitlements. So we have a lot of material to work with. I have hope that 2026 is going to be an extraordinary year for Democrats, but we have to draw the contrasts every single day on how it's affecting our constituents. That's how we win the war.
Are you worried about the SAVE Act and these sort of them trying to mess with elections already?
Oh yeah, we're nervous about that as well. We're ready for anything. I think about how we have to keep fortifying our armies here, and it is a war.
Yeah,
I read a lot of books on wars and generals and battle strategies, and you fight with the generals you have, and you fight with the ammunition you brought, and so that's what
right.
we have. And Democrat governors in a place like New York can really be the model to show how we know how to connect with everyday voters. I go to diners in the city every day I'm here. I love
Yeah,
just talking to people. I walk down the street with a baseball cap on. I talk to people, but then I don't just stay in the city. I go out
right.
to rural areas. I go out to grocery stores across the state and talk about how I want to put up to $5,000 back in New Yorkers' pockets if my budget gets through. So there's a lot we can do. We don't have to throw in the towel and say, oh, woe is me till
Right.
2028. There's a lot to be done. And don't give up hope and excitement and energy. Like, I can't stand hearing people just like, oh my God, woe is me. Knock
Yeah,
it off. Put on your
yeah,
big boy and girl pants and deal with it. We're in a war here. Are you going to be in the battle? Or are you going to be on the sidelines? If you're sitting on the
yeah,
sidelines, I don't need your commentary. Help me
yeah.
win the war.
Governor Hochul, thank you. We're really so great. Thank you.
Oh, thanks,
Appreciate
Molly.
you.
Great to
Yeah,
see you.
thanks.